I am carrying over a lot of things this month. Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Laken and I am here to talk about my goals. Every month I sit down and share with you all of my goal progress and by Cultivate What Matters Power Sheets. The Power Sheets are a goal setting planner that I have been using for years to help me break down my goals and track my progress and accomplish a lot of things over the years. I have been doing these monthly videos for almost 3 full years now, sharing my entire goal journey, the ups, the downs, and all the things that have worked and haven't worked for me along the way. In this video, we are specifically going to talk about August and reflect on all of the action items I set for the month of August, how they went, which ones I did, which ones I didn't, and then all of the action items that I have set for September. If you are new to my videos, welcome. I take my annual goals for the year and break them down into quarterly focuses. So if you haven't checked out my Q3 quarterly goals video where I talk about what I'm really focusing on specifically for Q3, July, August, September, that video is helpful to have that background knowledge. These are the action steps that I'm taking towards those quarterly goals. So let's jump right into it, starting with the monthly action items for August. The first one was to finish up the No BS course modules. I talked about this in that quarterly video. I am part of a weight loss program called No BS. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested. And there are modules that are part of the program in addition to the ongoing support, Facebook group, calls, all kinds of things. And my goal was to get through all of the course by the end of, well, the goal was actually to do it in July and I didn't do it then. The goal was then to finish it up in August. I didn't finish it. I did make progress. I did do some of the modules. It's not like I just let it sit there for the month of August, but I did not get to the end. So you'll see I'm carrying that over to September. There were a lot of things on my August pending list and I knew this. I talked about this last month, that I knew I was only going to make progress on and may not get all the way to the end. I thought it was gonna be more with the wedding stuff, not necessarily this one. But that is a mindset shift that I've had to overcome through my goal setting journey, that even if I don't get to the end, even if I don't completely finish it, I did more than nothing. I did more than zero. And so that's why I shaded in just a little bit. This is not reflective of like how much I did or didn't do. I just shaded it in a little bit on like the 2 times that I worked on it. I gave each of them a little bit of a squiggle. It is not reflective of how much I did do. I just like seeing that I made some progress. All right, the next 2 action items were related to my one little word project, and I'm really glad that I split it up this month into the video and then the project because I got to cross one of them off and not the other. I got a little bit of a later start on this project this month, and in general, I got a later start on my power sheets. I talked about that in a vlog, how the first 2 weeks of August, and you'll see that when we get to the daily items, I kind of didn't do anything. I kind of did a whole lot of nothing. And then I really like got it into gear halfway through the month and realized like I can still accomplish a lot this month. And so I did watch the video, but I did not do the project. I'm carrying that over to September, which you'll see, as well as the concept of splitting them out. I really like that. I say a lot, and I know I'm saying something that you are not seeing here. You do not need to fill up every line on your power sheets. If you do want to, if you are the kind of person that wants to fill up every line, make the steps smaller. Take something that you might put on 1 line and break it up into 2 lines or 3 lines or even 4 or 5 and have all the individual steps, and then you shade them all off individually. I've seen members of our Patreon community do this with like an indent. So they'll have like whatever the overarching goal is here, and then they'll have all the steps indented underneath. So then not only do they shade like each individual step, and then they shade it completely when they finish the whole thing. I love that concept, especially if you're somebody who likes to fill up all the lines. The next monthly action item was to get all of the photos printed for my memory keeping for all of the prior months that I need to go back and do. I shaded this in a little bit because I did a couple of the weeks, but I didn't do all of them. I think I had this mindset or this intention that I was going to do all of them at once. I was gonna sit down and go get March, April, May, June, and some of July all printed out. And part of it is that that whole process of like picking the photos, making the collages, and sending them to the drugstore actually takes longer than I thought it was going to take. And I'm not at that point yet. Like I have plenty of photos from past weeks to do as my like past week memory keeping, which is in the weekly action item section. So if I don't feel as much pressure to get the photos done, I did do a couple weeks. I feel like I made some progress there, but carrying that over to September. The next monthly action item was to go to the DanceWorks audition for the dance company that I have joined. And not only did I do that, I auditioned and then I made it, and now rehearsals have already started, and I just could not be happier that I did that. That was something that I was pretty sure I was gonna do. Like it would have taken a lot to talk me out of it, but I put it on my power sheets anyway just to really hold me accountable. And then the last 5 are all wedding related. And like I mentioned in last month's video, I knew that some of these items I was not going to reach the end. Like there was no way I was gonna be done with it by the end of the month. The goal was at least to get started and to do one step, whatever that one step was, one step towards each of these pieces of the wedding. But I'm actually proud to say that I have 3 of them completely checked off. The flowers, which the flowers aren't completely done, but now it's just kind of a back and forth between me and the florist. Like I picked the florist, signed the contract, put the deposit, all those things. And now it's just a back and forth of finalizing the arrangements. So it's not completely done, but there is no more active outreach on my part, if that makes sense. Like what I put on my power sheets are things that I actually have to instigate and do. The other 2 that I got to check off were the rehearsal dinner caterer. I had sent out emails in a prior month, but I finally finished all the back and forth and finalizing the proposals from 3 different places. I picked one, went with it, signed the contract, all of that is done. And then the groomsmen attire. This one I'm super proud that we got done because the day we had scheduled, like Sam and I had made plans with each other to go to Men's Warehouse and figure out the groomsmen attire and Sam's attire actually on the day that the hurricane came to the Northeast. And so the day before, Sam was like, well, should we go today since the hurricane is coming tomorrow? And at first I wasn't totally on board because I didn't really want to have to move around the stuff I had planned the day before. But I knew that if we didn't get it done last weekend, which is when we did it, then we would have to do it this weekend. And I just was like, you're right, let's go today, let's get it done. We did it, we checked it off. It took a lot longer actually in person than I thought it was gonna take, but we made that decision and now that is out of my hands. Obviously, just like the flowers, it's not fully done. Like there are still steps that need to be done. All the groomsmen need to go to Men's Warehouse and get measured and get their rentals and their sizes solidified. But my part in this is done, so I fully shaded that. The 2 that I started work on but did not finish were the on-site plan and the hotel block, so both of those are getting carried to September. All right, moving on to the weekly action items. These were kind of hit or miss. So the first one was to go rollerblading once a week, and I had good intentions here, so I started small and I did 1 rollerblading session in July. That was my goal, and I did that, accomplished that. And then based on what I had planned for August, I thought doing it once a week in August was going to be reasonable. And from a time standpoint, it was. From a weather standpoint, it was not. Every weekend in August has either been ridiculously hot or a hurricane. So it just hasn't worked out. I have not gone rollerblading even once this month. And so you'll see in September, I'm kind of backtracking again. And I've done this before with goals. Like sometimes you try to graduate the goal and go from it being a once a month to, you know, multiple times a month. And sometimes you just gotta pull it back. The next weekly action item was getting through some of my book notes. And just like I mentioned earlier, and you'll see in the dailies, the first 2 weeks of August, I just didn't really do a good job, so I didn't do any of it. But the last 2 weeks, I've been on top of it, and I've done 2 books the last 2 weeks. I still feel like I'm in pretty good shape to get through this by the end of September. I need to go back and like redo the math. But I still feel good about the progress that I made in August. And then the last 3 action items were related to my memory keeping. So it was to do the current most recent week and then to do the past weeks. And it's been kind of hit or miss. I did the first week I did none, the second week I did past weeks, and then the last 2 weeks I've done the current week. I still am hoping to get to those past weeks this weekend and check those off. I am definitely behind in terms of being able to be caught up at the end of September, but from a time standpoint, I just can't commit to more than that right now. All right, moving on to the daily action items. So the first one was one of 2 that I crushed and feel really good about, and that is getting 7 hours of sleep a night. I talked in last month's video about how I carry that over because I still felt, I could tell that I was only getting 7 hours of sleep sometimes to get the check mark in my power sheets. And if that's the case, then I needed to keep it on my power sheets to keep myself accountable. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I have a good rhythm and routine just overall in life that is helping me get my sleep, and I feel like I know how much better I perform in all areas of my life when I get a good night's sleep, that I am not sacrificing sleep anymore. And I actually only missed 1 day, and so in percentages, which is something new I started last month that I love, is thinking about the percentages for each of my daily items. I did it 96% of the month, so I feel good about that. All right, the next couple are all related to the No BS weight loss program, and one of the things they have you do is make a 24-hour plan. Again, I started off rough. in the first half of the month. First half was really rough. So overall, I only made a plan 12 of the 26 days so far, filming this on the 27th. I actually made one today. I didn't include the 27th in any of my calculations. So 12 of 26, which is 46%. It's almost half. It's not great, but it's not the worst. But what's more important to me, instead of thinking about the whole month, is more recently. The last 2 weeks, I've been much more on top of it. So I feel good going into September. I feel like I've got that momentum going into September, even though overall for the month, I didn't even hit 50%. And then obviously, since I only made the plan 46% of the time, that was the most I could have followed it. And I only followed it 9 times, which is 35%. Again, not zero. It's better than zero. It's better than nothing, but definitely a lot of room for improvement. And then assessing the plan was even worse, which was the new one I added for August. I only did that seven times, which is 27%. Yes, better than zero. Definitely needs some work for September. And then the other new one that I added for August was to only eat breakfast when I'm hungry. So waiting for a hunger signal, whether that was a headache. No, I never really got to the point of having a headache. It was really waiting for my stomach to growl. When my stomach growled, then I had breakfast. And some days it was way earlier than other days. It was very interesting. It was not at the same time every day. And I did that 88% of the time so far this month. So I feel really good about that one. I feel like I'm learning what it means when my body is hungry. There's more than just your stomach growling. I mean, it could be that I felt like distracted and I felt like I needed a break. If I found myself like going to my phone instead of doing what I was supposed to be doing on my planner, I was like, you're probably hungry. You probably need some food. So it's about learning my hunger signals. And I just felt really good about everything I learned by doing that. I am carrying that over to September, but we'll talk about that more when we get there. The last 2 daily items were both related to my routine goal, and that was to do my lunchtime routine and my PM routine. And the difference with these is that I didn't expect myself to do them every single day. Obviously on the weekends, I don't need to do my lunchtime routine. My lunchtime routine is goes with my work day. So I shaded in Saturday and Sundays for those. And then my evening routine, I don't pressure myself to do on the weekends. So I shaded in Friday and Saturday for my PM routine. So the numbers are a little bit different because I'm not doing it out of the full 26 days, but my lunchtime routine I did 68% of the time, and my evening routine I did 70% of the time. Massive improvement over the prior month for sure. Still needs work. I still wouldn't say that I do it out of habit. Like my morning routine, it's something really different has to go on for me not to do my morning routine. These two do still take a bit of work, a bit of like really conscious effort. And so you'll see I'm carrying them both over to September. That's the theme of this video. I'm carrying it over to September. And with that, let's move on to September. So let's start with the encouraging words. My encouraging words for September came straight out of a book that I did my book notes on in August. The book I actually read back in March. It's The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. But I did the book notes in August on it, and this quote just spoke to me, and I knew that I wanted that to be my encouraging words. I think of my encouraging words as what is the pep talk that you're gonna need throughout the course of the month. For me, my power sheets sit on my desk, like upright like this. And so I see my encouraging words every single day when I sit at my desk. So what is that pep talk that I'm gonna need throughout the month? So the quote is, courage is contagious. Every time we choose courage, we make everyone around us a little better and the world a little braver. And I love the sentiment of that. And then for priority, I just wrote, keep going. I have a lot of momentum right now in pretty much every goal that I've been working on. I have a lot of momentum going into September, and I just want to remind myself to keep going. Don't slow down. Or let me take that back, don't stop. Actually, if I slow down, that's okay. If I need to pull back on the gas a little bit, that's okay. Just don't stop, because once I stop, I'm gonna lose that momentum that I've started in the last couple weeks of August, and so I just want to remind myself to keep going. All right, the monthly action items for September. You're gonna recognize a lot of these. So the first one is to work on the No BS course, hopefully get to the end of the regular modules, and then if I do that, I have it scheduled in my planner to work on an hour per week. So if I get through the regular modules, which I think I will, they have plenty of other like side courses to do. There's a couple that I'm very interested in. I'm just gonna move on to those. I'm not gonna stop doing an hour per week in the course because there is plenty of content for me to work on, even if I finish the regular modules. The next one is to rollerblade one time. So I did one time in July. I tried to up it to once a week in August. It did not happen in September. I'm doing it one time. I just need to find one time to go rollerblading in September. The next three are all related to one little word, and that is to finish up the August project. watch the September video, and then do the September project. I also have scheduled time for these in my calendar, in my Google Cal. So hopefully these get done by the end of the month, but if they don't, I'm okay carrying them over. Like I have accepted that if I need to carry things over to future months when things might slow down a little bit, that's okay. September's a busy month for us, so if they don't get done, they don't get done. The next one is to get photos printed, and same thing here. As long as I get something done, I will feel accomplished. If I can get all the way to the end, that would be fantastic, but like all the way caught up. But if I can't, as long as I make some progress, I'll feel good about that. And then the last 4 are all related to the weddings. So the first 2 I'm carrying over from August, like I talked about, the on-site accommodations and the hotel. And then the last 2 are new ones that I'm going to start working on. The first one is transportation for guests from the hotel to the venue so that people don't have to drive, so they can have fun and safely get back to the hotel. And then some updates on the website. The website's in pretty good shape at this point. What's missing is the hotel block. So that one is kind of contingent on getting the hotel blocks finalized, is being able to update that on the website. And then there's also like a things to do in Austin section that I'd like to start working on the website. If we don't completely finish that this month, that's okay too. But those are the 2 new wedding things that I'm adding this month. All right, moving on to the weekly action items. So the first one is new that I added this month that is related to my health goal, and that is to get some sort of stretching in, to do some sort of like longer duration stretching. We actually bought a foam roller like a week ago, and I've only used it once, and I would like to try and at least use it once a week. I've been really on top of my workouts. If you watched my recent weekly vlog, I talked all about that and the program that I'm doing, and just I felt really good about it, but I know that my body could use some stretching. Between working out and dancing, I could definitely use some stretching, so I went ahead and added it in as a weekly goal for this month. And then the other ones are all carryovers from prior months, just trying to keep up with those completion goals that I set for the quarter. So that is the memory keeping, working on the current week, and then 2 past weeks every single week, and then working on the book notes and getting through 2 sets of book notes every week. All right, the daily action items. Pretty much all of these are carryover as well. The only one that I took off was the sleep, because like I said, I feel really good about that one. So the first 3 are all the plan related goal: make the plan, follow the plan, and then assess the plan. And then I kept breakfast when hungry. Even though I feel like I did a good job of this one, I did go ahead and keep it on there just to keep reinforcing it as something that I want to check off. And then the one new one that I added was to do the same thing for lunch. So not just do breakfast when I'm hungry, but do lunch when I'm hungry. Lunch is more difficult because sometimes I don't have a break in my day that makes sense to eat lunch. Like if I have calls from 1 to 4 for work, then if I don't eat before 1, then it's kind of weird. And now there are some calls that I could eat lunch during if I don't have to turn my camera on or it's on Zoom or whatnot, but it's just, it becomes a little bit more complicated. But I want to try and do a better job of listening to my hunger cues for lunch when I have that flexibility to do so. And then the last 2 daily items, again, I'm carrying over the lunchtime routine and the PM routine. Even though I did about 70% for both of those, I still want to make sure that it is a habitual, unconscious routine that I just do, and not something that I feel like I'm forcing because I have it on my power sheets. So a lot of carryovers from August to September. I feel like September I flew through those because it was a lot of the same things, and that's okay. Just because I'm carrying over the same action steps doesn't mean I'm not making progress. It means that those action steps are working for me. So I don't feel bad at all about carrying over everything from August to September, and depending on how things are looking with returning back to work, it might just be the same for October as well. But that is it for my goals. I want you to let me know down in the comments, what is one thing that you accomplished in the month of August that you are super proud of? I want to celebrate together. So let me know down in the comments what you accomplished. It can be any step, whatever it is, it just needs to be important to you. Comment below with what that was for you in August. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. The next, your own like words in October. Where did October come from? This quote came out there up the Ojjish project. The lighting in that video was just a mess.